Let's start that shit again. That's what I thought. You guys might remember my 98 Chevy pickup right here. Had that power steering fluid leak, added some dye, fixed the leak, cleaned that shit off. Well, it's been 2 weeks now. I just went under there with the UV light and I've got no dye, but I've got a ton of wetness. Check it out. Now, I just had a van in here today that made a little mess, cleaned it up, brought my pickup in here. We've already got spots on the floor. We know that those lines are hurting right there, definitely, and that could be all of our problem. But we've also got crap like stuff here up at the crank sensor harness, and who knows what else is going on. Now, it's pretty obvious that those oil cooler lines are leaking. I could go ahead and replace them and call it a day, but let's just say that it wasn't so obvious. As you can tell from the power steering fluid leak, when that power steering fluid was leaking and riding down the road, I mean, it was blowing power steering back to the motor mount. You know what I mean? See, if a truck like this comes to me and it's got high miles and it could have multiple oil leaks, well, the way I handle it is to put dye in the engine oil. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to put some dye in this thing, top off the oil, put 100 or so miles on it, come back with that UV light, and see what I got. Great Scott. Can you see that? We're like half a quart low now. So I got a bottle of this crap. It says motor on here, so I guess you can put it in your motor oil. Oh, sorry, I was reading the Spanish side. Engine oil, transmission, power steering, and fuel system UV dye by Auto Pro. Holy shit. You see that right there? Do you see that? It's certified Auto Pro. Well, hot damn. Fucking certified. Well, I guess I don't really need a funnel for that part, huh? So she's right on the money now. We've also got some painter's tape, Mr. Sharpie here. Today is January 23rd. So oil dye 1/23, 172.90. You see, when you get to be my age, you kind of can't fucking remember the last time you... whatever. So we're going to do the same thing we did last time. I'm going to drive this truck for 100 or so miles. We're going to come back, put it up on the lift, go over it with the UV light, and we can identify pretty much everything that's leaking. So I'll see you in 100 miles. I'm back with my 98 Chevy pickup for the oil leaks. If you remember, about 12 days ago, put some dye in this thing into the oil, so let's see what we got. Let's see how bad this leak is. So it looks like we lost about 1/4 of a quart in between when we added dye and topped this thing off and now. So we lost 1/4 of a quart and 147 miles over the span of 12 days. Before I put this thing up in the air, I'm just going to give this a once over with the dye light and see if I can see anything from up top, you know what I mean? And for stuff like that, it's usually easier when it's kind of dark. I'm just going to disable the under hood light, try to get this thing a little bit dark under here so we can see that UV dye. So for this, all I did was kind of just use some little quick clamps on some fender covers just to kind of give me a lot darker of an engine bay. And sometimes I do run them across the hood too. That way I can get a much better look in there when it's nice and dark. Mr. Dye Light. Oh yeah. Sorry about that. So I'm just going to start up top and just look around. See what I see. Now if you're trying to see like the back of the intake or the back of the valve covers, we got something to use for that too. I just got my little inspection mirror. So if I wanted to see behind this right side valve cover, so a general look over up top here hasn't really shown anything on the dye light. So let's get this thing up in the air. Since this was, you know, the main thing that I saw when it was first leaking, let's check that thing first. And it looks like right on this lower cooler line, I can't see this on the viewfinder of the camera, but I've definitely got dye starting here and then running down this tube for the power steering cooler, which matches what we saw earlier. I've also got dye here up around the front crank seal. And I've even got it here at the timing cover. So we know that's oil. So it may just need a new timing cover gasket. And it probably wouldn't hurt to do the front crank seal at the same time. And same deal, I'm not seeing this on my viewfinder, but it's blowing all the way back to this Y pipe. And I've got wetness here at the starter, but I don't see no dye anywhere up there. So I wonder if that's from that little valve cover seepage. Now this cooler line looks like to be the biggest leak rate at this time. I mean, this is what actually got my attention because it was leaving spots on the shop floor. Both of those lines, they don't look good. So while it might just be the bottom one leaking, it might not hurt to do both of them. So I went back and checked the area on the right cylinder head, and I don't see nothing leaking. So for now, we're just gonna kind of let that ride. But let's come up with a plan for fixing the oil leaks in this thing. So I went to Rock Auto and threw a little cart together. We've got oil cooler lines upper and lower, the right valve cover gasket, because she's seeping out a little bit, front crank seal, and then for the timing cover they have two designs. I have no idea which design I need, so I'm just going to get both of them and send back whatever one isn't right. Check out this awesome packing job by Rock Auto. Somebody else's box. A couple pieces of cardboard. Well, actually just one piece of cardboard. But at least they were nice enough to give us another magnet. Fucking dicks. Good thing it wasn't anything important. So got the oil lines in, let's go ahead and put these on. So I'm going to start this repair from underneath. If I disconnect these lines right here at the radiator, it's going to make a huge mess. So I'd rather disconnect the lines underneath the truck, let them drain out, and then come back and finish the job. So here's an overview of those cooler lines. They just come down from the cooler at the radiator. Got this little wacky fitting right there. And then coming off the oil filter housing is the end of the lines. So what I want to do is disconnect them here first. We'll probably have to come and unhook them from that retainer and then just let them hang down and drip dry. I'm not sure how much fluid's going to dump out of these, but we're going to find out. So at each one of these fittings, it has this little cap. There are retainer clips right here that hold this line in place. You see how I pried on the edge of that clip and kind of cocked her down a little bit? And now I can go with another pick and just get that guy. Here's a look at that clip. This is what I pried out with the other pick and then used this pick to just pop her out. If you're doing this at home and you have a dirt driveway like me, you should probably lay down some cardboard first, and that way when this thing pops out of place, you don't lose it in the debris field. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one. And into the abyss it goes. don't know how good you guys can see this, but if I squeeze those two little tabs together, it let the line push off. So we're gonna let him pee out for a little while. So coming in from the left front tire, I mean, you can kind of see the lower cooler line here, but I don't know how the hell you would get to it without taking this fender shield out. And even that looks kind of involved. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get both of them from up top. Here's a better view from up top. Might get some light on this guy. At least for me, it's gonna be a lot easier to get these guys disconnected from up here. Your results may vary. I'll spare you guys the safety lecture, but you don't want to do this while the motor's hot. Awesome. I'm just using Mr. Bungee cord to get all that stuff up out of the way. So your view has changed. I'm standing here at the front of the truck. Got a 13/16 wrench. Man, who put this on here? Oh, it was me. This bottom fitting is no different than the top one. Mr. 13/16 wrench. See, there's enough room for me to get my whole freaking arm and hand down in here. Alright, so it's going to be too tight to do a close-up shot. Just try to do it from here. With these lines, I went with Dorman. No particular reason except for the price, because I got both of these for what one of the AC Delco line. Oh, this is great. As I was saying, I got both of these for the price of one from AC Delco. These lines came with these little covers that prevent those clips from like popping out. That's why I wasn't sweating when I broke that one. So just like last time when I did that power steering hose, I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on each of these. It ain't got to be nothing super fancy. I just don't want any grime or whatever to get up in here. You know what I'm saying? Don't be that guy. He's trying to be that guy. So all I want to do now is just kind of get him up over this steering gear. Just kind of up in the area. I'm not going to make any other connections right now because I still have to maneuver this stuff from up top. So I'm going to let everything just hang out down here. Go back up top. Make our connections. hard as hell to get started. I'm not going to go crazy tightening these guys up because I still may have to do a little bit of wiggling down there. So nothing too crazy for now. Go back underneath, make our connections under there, then come back, snug them guys up. So the top cooler line off of the rad goes into the top fitting. And what you're trying to do is to get that little lip, this little lip, to clear the groove in that fitting. Kind of like when we took it out. Just kind of got to rock it. Work it just right. You see that? Because the clip is going to be on the other side of this ring right here. So it's got to go in pretty good. I went and took this back off because it was being a dick. Now we can try putting these clips back in. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure I got these things seated in good. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing on the line and I'm rocking it back and forth and pulling it. I'm going to do that for both of them. And I should just be able just to pop this guy over top of that clip. So he's good. And if you don't have the clip fully seated, like this one, you can't even get the cover back on. So you can see both of these covers, they're fully bottomed out on these nuts. So I know the clips are in there good, they're not going to pop off. Well, hopefully. That thing felt freaking tight as something that's very tight. Just hook this upper rad hose back up. I'm gonna top off the coolant in this thing. So I didn't top off the oil in this thing. I'm going to let it run for a little while and... Oh, God. Well, so far so good. I don't see anything running down. Since I don't have a lot of patience, I'm going to get started cleaning this stuff up from up top. So I got all the air out of the cooling system. Let's go up in the air. So it looks like everything's cool. Got our connections here. Still got a little bit of cleaning up to do. So what I want to do is take my UV light and use it to help me get all the dye off of here. Depending on what else is leaking, we may have to come back and pull the timing cover off of this and reseal that. This kind of gives us a fresh start. Looks like we're about half a quart low. Oh. Just want to modify my sticker a little bit. So 170532, and today's date is 2/12/15. Now we're done as far as replacing the cooler lines in this thing, but we're not really done with the total repair. I mean, that front timing cover can be leaking. It probably is leaking. I don't want to condemn anything just yet until I have, enough evidence. I guess that about wraps it up for this oil leak from start to finish. Thanks for watching. You like what you see, subscribe to my shit there. I said it. I said shit. You're pissed off about my language. We're in an auto shop, not a Build-A-Bear workshop, so go fuck yourself.